right, welcome to our first online yoga class of this year, 2020, and very excited to be bringing this to you guys. And we've been sort of dealing with a lot of stresses these last couple of weeks with the coronavirus. And so I just thought maybe a really nice stress relieving class might be in order. So we will start seated, and so I would invite you to sit however you feel comfortable. I'm sitting on a bolster. You can sit on a couple of pillows, a little stool, whatever feels comfortable and good for you. And just roll the shoulders up, back, and down, and so that you're kind of pulling your scapula, subscapular muscles together, and your shoulders are kind of pressing down in the back. And then start to feel like you're lengthening your spine, lifting the crown of your head. And then just start to relax in, maybe dropping your gaze down to the floor or closing your eyes. Just letting yourself settle. And in this moment, you can start to notice your breath, how it's coming in, how it's going out. And start to notice all the sensations in your body. Where are you feeling tension or tightness or pain? See if you can sort of do a little scan from head to toe, just going through all of the parts, and just notice. And start to take a moment to expand that inhale, maybe letting the belly expand out where the diaphragm is expanding and pushing out as you fill. And as you exhale, let that belly drop on down and just relax and release. And then again, start to inhale, nice big breaths, really filling the whole body. And as you exhale, relax and release down. Big breath in, one more long inhale. And a big exhale out. And start to roll your shoulders forward, lifting nice and tall up by your ears and pressing all the way down as you really find movement in those shoulders. It's nice to do some joint freeing after sitting and working at a desk all day, or sitting on the couch dealing with being home, or whatever it is that you've got going on. Sometimes it's nice to just do some joint freeing. And then bring the shoulders up, back, and down. We're going to take the chin and just press it back so that the ears come back over the shoulders. Take a nice breath in. Let the arms fall down. As you exhale, just drop the head to the side. Inhale up. As you exhale, drop to the other side. Inhale up. As you exhale, look to one side. Exhale back. And look to the other side. And back. And then we're going to look up to the sky, only as far as you feel comfortable, just getting a nice stretch in the neck. As you exhale, drop the chin down, letting the back of your neck feel a little release. Again, inhale up, only as far as feels comfortable. Exhale down. And bring your head back to neutral. Just start to move your fingers. This is called joint freeing. But if you start to move in a way that feels organic and right for your body, That is called pandiculation. I love that word. And it's sort of like what you would see a cat or a dog do, how they just move their own way. They move their body and how it feels right and good. So just finding that and maybe closing your eyes and noticing how that feels in the body and the sensations that you may feel. And then bring the hands back to the thighs, and you can have your palms up if you feel like you're needing some energy. You can place your palms down if you're feeling like you're a little frenetic and a little too much energy, too rajasic as we would say in yoga. And then just maybe let your eyes cast down or close and start to notice again how the body feels. Does anything feel different after said pandiculation? Are there areas of your body still calling out for something else? And then you can take your arms up, reaching high to the sky. Take a nice big breath. Exhale, stretch like you just got out of bed. A little more of that pandiculation type of thing going on. Inhale, reach up. As you exhale, stretch. And then shake it up. So we'll move on to the mat off of whatever you're seated on. And let's kind of get into some movement. A little cat-cow never hurt anybody, right? That's always one of the favorite things to kind of start with. And again, it's sort of a version of pandiculation. So you can inhale, drop that belly, let the back arch, let the shoulders pull back, let the neck extend as much as it feels right or comfortable. And as you exhale, belly button to the spine, round the shoulders, chin to the chest. Inhale, arch the back, really feeling, and maybe it feels good to wag your tail or move in some other way. Yeah, it doesn't have to be so static or so serious. Find whatever movement feels good to you. It always feels good to me to kind of go back in that cat. And then just sort of go with your breath. How many ever breaths it feels good to you to go at whatever speed feels right for you. And then again, maybe you start to find some circles. Or maybe you keep doing the cat-cow the way it was. And then come back to that tabletop position. Activate the abdominal muscles, these lower abdominal muscles, as we start to extend one leg back. So the first thing we want to do is activate. So really pull as if you're pulling your hip bones together. They're not gonna go, but you can act like you're pulling your hip bones together and act like you're pulling your pubic bone and your tailbone together, and notice how that activation feels. And then after you've done that activation, start to lift one foot and extend it back, but then notice how this changes as you extend back. And while we're in this space of noticing, keep the activation here, keep the attention there. What happens when you lift that foot? What changes? What feels different when you lift that foot? Now bring that foot down and let's see if we can release the activation. Let go of that tension or tightness that we were purposefully putting in our abdominal muscles. Now take that foot and just cross it across the back. I'm too close to my chair. Cross it across the back and then just sort of move around. I like to think of stretches as being a fluid thing and not necessarily a static thing. And I might get a little adjustment in my back just popped, not in a bad way. Well, maybe you decide that you want to take that hand, the opposite hand of the leg, and reach back towards your toes to really get a nice big side stretch on the body, on the side of the body. Or maybe you decide you just don't want to do that and you stay right here. Then you can bring that foot back up, bring the knee down, toes together, knees apart, and just grab a little bit of a child's pose here just to sort of notice those things that you just did, what kind of changes may have taken place, or what might be going on. And then we'll make our way back up into that all four. So we have our activation, hip bones to hip bone, hip bone to hip bone, pubic bone to tailbone. We're really feeling, it's almost like there's like a flower under here that we're just kind of doing like this with, yeah? So we find that activation, keeping our attention there so we know what happens when we make movement. We can start to extend that foot back and we notice that, oh, I had to do something to make that adjustment. So we're still paying attention, and then we notice, oh, what happens when I make the adjustment to lift my foot? What did I do in here to keep that stable? And we're breathing, of course. We don't want to hold our breath in these spaces either. And then you can bring that foot back down to the floor. Let the belly go. Release that hold, release that activation, and let the belly go. And then maybe you decide you want to hang out here. Maybe you want to pick the foot back up again, or maybe you grab that stretch so you can cross it over and then find some movement in that body. Sort of like a cat might do. And then if you feel like you want to reach down towards that other toe, you can reach there, finding that stretch on the other side body. You're not going to touch your toe, so that's not really a goal. It's just kind of the act of reaching towards it. And then we'll come back. Again, find that child's pose. And sometimes I like to have my knees apart with my toes together, and sometimes I like to have them all tucked in together. So find whichever one of those feels interesting or good to you. Let's extend the hands out. Let the forehead drop if that feels interesting. You can also use a blanket or a block or a pillow to put under your head if that feels interesting. Take the fingertips and sort of push into the mat with your fingertips and watch what happens to the muscles in your shoulders and your upper back. Do you feel activation if you push in? And again, finding the nice breath when you breathe in. Notice what stretches, what moves, what changes. And then you can start to maybe find a little bit of rolling shoulder, opposite shoulder thing going on with that. Or you can keep it static, or maybe you go the other way. And if you were rolling with your shoulders and then you went the other way, you can notice differences. And then now you might let go. And this time you might let your hands just relax, let your arms go. Maybe you bring the arms down by your feet and just let the shoulders go. Whatever feels interesting. Settle in with that, and again, taking the inventory. Notice what you're feeling. tuning into your breath, noticing how long the breath comes in. Can we extend the exhale out, make it a little bit longer? Start to walk your hands over to one side. And again, this is that side body stretch. And when you're on this side, take the other tailbone and push it down towards the foot. See if you can really lean into that stretch. Start to walk your hands back to the center and then go to the other side. So you have your hands to the side, you're taking the other tailbone, pushing it down towards the foot, finding a stretch in that upper body. Back to the center. Sort of walk your way up to a seated position. We can really take time in between the postures to take that inventory. It gives you information as you're going along as to what your body's responding to, so that tells you what you might want to continue to do or go deeper into. Or maybe your body says, yeah, that was a little much, you went too far there, maybe you should pull back next time. And so finding those little moments in between is really important for keeping yourself within the parameters that you want to be. I always tell people we don't want to push to the edge and stay at the edge. You find that edge and then you pull back slightly, then your body is able to release and not feel that need to hold or be tight. So back into the all fours or tabletop. And we're just going to curl the toes back. Actually, I'm going to turn this way. We're going to curl the toes back under like this and start to sit back onto the heels. So you can keep yourself forward like this because those toes are curled under. That stretch that we're getting in the foot, it might be speaking to you very quickly. And so this may be where you want to hang out. You can always use pillow or a block or something and walk yourself back up. You can hang out here, here. And if you're feeling good here, I'm feeling a nice big stretch. Maybe you put your hands at heart center. Maybe you stay here or here. We hold a lot of tension in our feet. And when those plantar fascia get really tight, that can affect us all the way up into our back. So finding this stretch can be really beneficial for that. You can stay there as long as you like. And when you're ready, you can come out of it and then put your feet with that on top. You can also sit on a pillow or a block or something, or you can sit however you want and just kind of let your feet stretch out or move. So we're just trying to kind of recover from what we just did. So yeah, you can bring it there for that activity or that action. Moving into a little bit of a flow, I want to preface that by saying it's important to me that you listen to your body and you only do what feels right and good. So, a couple of things that you can do if you're not interested in what I'm offering are you can come back to that child's pose. And if you have some knee situations that don't really like the child's pose, sometimes putting blankets or a beach towel or a pillow under them can help alleviate some of that knee pain. So if that's a situation for you, then this might be an option that could be helpful. And you can always come to a mountain pose. So feet wherever you want them. I like mine about hip width, but wherever you feel comfortable. So you can always come there. Or child's pose, or really anything else that you feel like your body wants you to do. If your body wants you to lie on your back, then feel free to do that. So we'll start with a little bit of down dog. So as we go to down dog, an option for that, if that's not interesting to you, is to kind of hang out in this all fours. And you can do some things where you extend here too. So that is always an option as well. If you're interested in down dog, you can curl the toes. Make sure you have your hands planted nice and firmly, and you're using the fingers and the knuckles too. So we don't want to crank into those wrists. And so we're gonna just kind of curl the toes and push the hips back. And we got our knees bent in a nice little gentle way. And this may be where you want to be. But maybe it feels good to extend one heel and then the other. Ooh, I did bar yesterday. My calves are talking to me. And then we can come back up on those tippy toes as high as we can and maybe bend the knees and pull the hips or pull the belly towards the thigh. And if that feels good, then maybe you want to extend the knees and let the heels come towards the mat. They may or may not touch, it really doesn't matter. And then we're just gonna walk the hands back to meet the feet. Nice bent knees. As we start to rise up, I'd like to offer that you keep your knees bent and you just stand up. Hands to heart center. So as we stand up, there are several ways. Some people like to roll up vertebrae by vertebrae with the head coming up last, and that's fine, but if you have degenerative disc disease, osteoporosis, or osteopenia, that might not be the best option. So hinging from the hip here might not be the best option. So I like to have a nice big bend to come up, and I feel really safe in my lower back. So whatever feels best to you, that's where you want to be. Inhale, both arms up, reach high to the sky. As you exhale, bend those knees, stick your booty out, and find your mat. Inhale, flat back. And you can keep those knees as bent or as not bent as you want. I don't want to say straight because we don't want to lock. Exhale, hands to the mat. Now let's walk out and find a plank. So we're in this plank pose. We're really using all of our hand and not just the heel or the wrist to hold that plank. And then this is also a great option for plank. You're still activating these muscles here that we're really looking to work for our core to help protect our back and our hips. So either one of these options is great for finding that. As we lower down to the mat, drop your knees, bring the elbows in by your ribs, and just lower on down. Coming up to a little baby cobra, just lifting, pulling the shoulders back away from the ears, activating these middle and lower trapezius muscles, finding nice work for them. Exhale down. Inhale, find that cobra again. This time, if you want a little bit of work extra, you can bring the hands off the mat. You can keep them there as well, and that might still be work. So neither is better or worse, they're just different ways. Exhale down. One more time, lifting back up into that cobra. Maybe you lift the hands, maybe you keep them down. Exhale down. And then press back into that tabletop, finding that space. Curl those toes. Find yourself back into your down dog, wherever, however that looks. Nice big up on the toes, nice big bend in the knees, putting the belly button towards the middle of the thighs. And then let your head hang down, nod yes and no. And then maybe you start to straighten those knees, keeping your upper back where it is though. We don't want to let that fall or stick out. We're keeping it pressed back towards the knees. Then walk your hands back towards your feet. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release hands towards your mat. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, arms up. One more time like that. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, hands to your mat and walk on out to that plank. And again, you can have knees down or up, whichever plank feels interesting to you. And the work is here. We're not really worried about anything except working those abdominal muscles or really activating them. I mean, we're working a lot of different muscles. I shouldn't say we're not worried about anything else, but those are important. It's not important whether your knees are down to do them or up. And then drop those knees back down, lower down to your mat, elbows in by your ribs. As you inhale, find a little cobra. Maybe you take the hands up. Exhale, hands back down. Press back into your all fours. Curl your toes. Lift those hips back towards the back of your mat. Really nice big bend, getting the belly towards the thighs. Now you start to straighten. Let the heels sink a little, but you're keeping your shoulders where they were. And then you walk your hands back. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Find your mountain. I like for my feet to be hip width apart. Some people like them together. Biomechanically, that's not the best for me because my hips are a little bit wider naturally. The bone structure naturally. So we have our feet wherever we feel comfortable, and the hands by the side. And you can close your eyes or you can keep them open. Maybe you gaze down, maybe you look straight forward and just feel grounded. Feeling connected to the earth. And noticing if there's a sway, noticing if there's a flow, a movement. Inhale, arms up. Clasp your hands together and then just lean over to one side, and you can kind of push into the hip of the opposite side, just finding a nice little half. Inhale up. Exhale to the other side. Inhale up. If you'd like to take a small back bend, feel free to do that. I tend to not bend too far back because I have degenerative disc and some other situations like that that ask me not to do that. But if this is where you want to find that, then feel free. And then bring the hands back to heart center. Take the arms out to the side as wide as you can. Inhale, open the chest, really stretching those pectoral muscles, putting these guys on slack. As you exhale, cross the arms, like giving yourself a big giant hug. Who doesn't need a hug these days, right? Take a big breath in, and as you exhale, drop the shoulders and drop the elbows. Keeping everything here, you might want to stay here, or you may want to lift the hands, bringing them towards each other for a little bit of an eagle arm situation. And if you find that eagle arm, you maybe have it here, you maybe have it here, you may grab whatever feels good, or you may still be here. On the breath, we're going to lift the elbows up no matter where your hands are. As you exhale, drop down again, really feeling the opening up in the back of the chest. Inhale up. Exhale, lower down. Inhale up. Exhale, lower down. Maybe you stay right here with the hands. Maybe you start to add the feet. So you can bend your knees. And if it feels interesting, you can cross the legs and touch the mat here. You're squeezing your thighs together. Or maybe it feels interesting to lift the toes and kind of curl them around. Now, for me, it feels better if I bring my hands to the side to have my knees together because of some situation in my SI joint. But for you, maybe it feels better to make everything straight on. So, however it feels right is where you want to be. Now, maybe it feels good to kind of lower back down, or maybe not. You can find whichever place feels comfortable for you, where you want to feel like you're getting work, but you're still safe. And you can always undo your arms and hold on to something too if that is where you feel like you want to be right now. And then you can start to make your way out. Let the arms fall out. And maybe shake, shake, shake. Take a moment in between, just noticing. Maybe you close your eyes or cast your gaze down. What am I feeling now? And then inhale out, reaching way far back. And then we're going to take the other arm on top. And if you don't remember which one you did, the one you should do now will be the one that feels the most awkward, because we usually do the comfortable one first. So we're just giving ourselves a big hug with a breath in and an exhale down. And then maybe you let the hands come up, or maybe you keep them there. And we start to breathe in, lifting the elbows. Exhale, lower down, stretching out. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale. Exhale. And then maybe you shift that way, bend your knees. Maybe you bring the foot up and cross it. Wait, that's the same one I'm doing. Maybe you bring the foot up and cross it, touching the mat. Maybe you lift it up. Maybe you wrap it. Whichever feels fun. And of course, we're really focusing on these muscles here for stability when we're in this posture. So take your attention there. Maybe you squeeze those thighs and go down a little bit lower, or maybe not. Maybe you're standing in mountain, just breathing. That's fine. It's great. And then we can find our way out. Bring the feet down. Take a big breath in. Exhale, stretch out. Inhale. Exhale. and then roll the shoulders back. We're going into the tree pose. So as we shift over to one side, think about really focusing that activation and that attention on those gluteus medius muscles. The glute medius are really some of the most important muscles for stabilization for healthy hips and back. So we're activating that muscle as we shift our weight. Now notice what changes here if you lift your heel. Now notice what happens here if you lift your toe and your whole foot off. And you always can grab a chair or the wall or something if you want to keep yourself safe, for sure. Now you can hang out here with your knee up in front, or if it feels interesting to find some sort of version of tree, feel free to do that. Don't feel like you have to. Maybe it feels good to place your hands at your heart. Maybe it feels good to take your hands up some way. Now, of course, tuning into that breath here. If you're feeling really sassy and you want more of a challenge, you can try to close your eyes. That makes it a little bit more difficult. And then we'll start to unwind from that. Bring your hands back down. Maybe take your foot off and then come here. And again, we just take a moment to notice. How does this side feel? Can it let go now? Because it was holding on. And then we're going to activate here. Activate first, then shift your weight. Notice what happens when you lift your heel. Notice what happens when you lift your knee. And maybe you take your hands to heart center, and maybe you take your foot to some version of tree, whichever, whatever. So the beauty of a home practice is that you always can feel like you can do what you want. I would hope that you would feel that way in a class too, but I know that sometimes that can be a little bit more of a challenge. You can take your hands wherever you want them to be. And then find your way out. Big breath up. Exhale out. Big forward fold, bending those knees. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, walk yourself out and find your plank. Last time for that plank, so you can have your feet out, your knees up, or you can drop the knees down, whichever feels interesting. Pressing up into the hands, really pushing through the shoulders so we're not sinking down like this, but we're actually engaging those upper back muscles. Drop those knees if they're not down, and then just lower to your mat. Place your hand, one hand on top of the other, and then drop your forehead onto the back of your hand. Let your toes fall out to the side of your mat for crocodile. And this is a little bit of a relaxation posture to kind of help you assimilate everything that we did. And maybe you start to notice if you're holding tension in your shoulders. You can sort of shake around, maybe let those go. Maybe see if there's tension in your gluteus maximus muscles, your hamstrings, your quads, and maybe shake that and let them go. Finding your way up for Sphinx. Place the elbows under the shoulders and the palms are out. So we're going to do one of my favorite things. It's a moving Sphinx. And so we're going to inhale And we're going to press away from the mat. And then as we exhale, we're going to sink down and let the shoulders come up by the ears, kind of like what we would say don't do. But I'm a rebel, I do what I want. Inhale, pressing away from the mat, really activating the muscles there. And then exhale and lower back down. I forgot if we were inhaling on the up or down. Yeah. Inhale, pressing up. Exhale, releasing down. We're getting a nice big stretch in there. Inhale and up. Exhale down. I don't know, you may not be getting a stretch in there. I feel like I'm getting a stretch. And then inhale up. Exhale down. And then find the other hand on top for your crocodile and let the feet come out. So we're just putting the opposite hand on top. And again, noticing any tension, any muscles that may be working right now in this posture where we kind of want them to just let go. So feel free to let the relaxation come in here. So we're going to keep ourselves in this type of position, and we're going into a little bit of some kind of restorative or yin type posture. So we're not going to hold them as long as you would in a restorative or a yin class, but we're going to grab a little bit of restoration. So you're going to keep your head where it is, and you're going to bring that out, one leg out to the side, just bend it. So we kind of have it at a 90-degree-ish, and then the knee at a 90-degree-ish, and the foot, if you want it, at 90 degrees. So we're in half frog. Letting all of the muscles release and relax. I'm turning my head to the side so I can make sure that you can hear me, but you want to have your forehead down probably. And again, notice if you're holding tension in your glutes here or here, what would it feel like to just let that go and not hold it? Tuning into that breath. On your next exhale, you can release that leg back. And then take the other knee, bend it, bring it up to the side. 90 degrees-ish, 90 degrees-ish with the knee and then the foot. And I say ish because you can stay in that position. I say ish because nothing's absolute, right? We don't, maybe 90 degrees doesn't feel right in your body, so we're not going to push something for the sake of a rule if that doesn't feel the best for your body. A couple more breaths here. And then you can start to bring on your exhale the leg back and just roll over onto your back. I'm going to turn this way. Pull your knee into your chest, hugging it tightly. And it might feel good to keep this other leg with your foot flat, but it might not. So experiment with that, or experiment with sticking your leg out. It's up to you. Whatever feels the best to you is where you want to be. So we're just hugging that knee in tightly. And on your next exhale, see what happens if you take that knee over towards your armpit. As you pull the right knee into the right armpit, or the left into the left, whichever one you're doing, you don't have to switch. You can, as you exhale, think about pulling it in a little bit deeper. This is a great activation for all of our internal organs down here. And I won't say that it's detoxifying, but I'll say that these are the organs that do that for us. And so when they're optimized, when they're working their best, then that can be a result. But I wouldn't say that that's what this does. And then bring that leg back in. If the one that was sticking out, if you did have it sticking out, just bring it in and cross this leg over. And then maybe that's enough and you feel a stretch in your hip and you feel something going on here, so you can hang out here. If it feels interesting to start to lift and pull that leg towards you, feel free to do that. And then maybe find movement, because you know I love to do that. Find some shifting back and forth. And what happens if you move over there? Do you feel something more? And if you do, does it feel good to hang out on it? Investigate that. And then bring it down. Place both feet flat and adjust your hips so that they feel like they're in a somewhat of a line together. And then just let the knees fall in, tuning into the sensations that you're feeling from what we just did. We're going to take the other leg and hug it into the chest, so pulling it in nice and tightly, and if it feels good to extend that leg out. And that can feel nice for the psoas and the quadriceps in the front there, but it's not necessary. If it makes your low back feel funky, then do that. On your exhale, bring that knee up into that armpit, hugging it tightly and feeling that compression in those organs. And if it feels like too much, then just back up a little. And then on your next inhale, you can bring that leg back up. Foot flat. Cross it over. And again, that may be enough. You may feel a stretch there, and that's good. Or you might feel like you want to pull that knee in, and then you can play around with some movement. What does it feel like if I move? Kind of feels good to me. I've got bar booty, so it feels nice to stretch it out. Bring everything back to the center. Pull both of the knees in tightly. And maybe you want to roll the knees either together or apart. And you can go the other way. As we move into Shavasana, feel free to prop yourself up in whatever way feels good to you. So if it feels nice to have some blankets under your knees, or a bolster if you have it, or whatever, feel free to find that comfort. I like to roll a blanket sometimes and put it to support my neck like that. And if it feels uncomfortable to extend your legs, then maybe you do your Shavasana right here. Let your knees fall in and there you are. So we don't stress about our Shavasana. We want to be comfortable. So find whatever you can do to make yourself 5 or 10% more comfortable, and you can stay in that position. I'm going to sit up so I can speak more clearly. As you find that Shavasana space of comfort, and you can start to take a nice big breath in, and as you exhale, settle, noticing how your body feels against the mat. Noticing those sensations. Start to scan the body from head to toe, and what we're looking for in this scan is not necessarily release. It can be. We're sort of noticing these areas where there may be tension or tightness. And then what we ask of ourselves is to be curious. What is that sensation? What's it doing there? And then, once we do that assessment, we may decide to let it go. It's easier if we know why it's there. So, just scanning, going from the head to the toes, thinking about the crown of your head, forehead, eyes, temples, cheeks, jaw, lips, chin, throat, and noticing what you feel in those areas and what could go and what you need. Moving into the chest, the upper back, shoulders, upper arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, and fingers. Again, noticing, giving permission. And then moving into the abdomen, pelvis, hips, thighs, knees, calves, ankles, and toes. Feeling fully relaxed, calm and at peace. Questioning those spaces of tension and pain or tightness. Maybe addressing them, maybe not. And settling in for some moments of quiet. Start to take a long breath in, just filling the body with that light. Exhale with a long, loud sigh. And a big breath in. Exhale. Start to bring movement into the body. Maybe the fingers and toes, or the shoulders and hips, or whatever. Gently roll over onto one side. Left side can be really great for digestion. The right side can be great for your heart. Hang out there for a moment. Just assimilate what you did. Maybe finding that gratitude for this time on your mat, this time for yourself, or whatever. And calmly and gently make your way to a seated position. Take a big breath in, reaching high to the sky. Exhale out with a long sigh. Big breath in, reaching high to the sky. As you exhale, bring your hands to your third eye for good thoughts, to your throat for good words, and to your heart for good actions. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you enjoyed this session, and if you would like to see more, hit subscribe on YouTube if you're watching this on YouTube, and just stay tuned for more.